Hello and good morning, everyone. I, Rachit Singhal, Academic Coordinator KSG, welcome you all in this festival of accomplishments that is Success Carnival. Yesterday was the auspicious day when India got independence after a massive long struggle, and I want to congratulate my fellow citizens for this day. Though a little late, but happy 74th Independence Day to all. One more event took place yesterday, the retirement of the great legendary Mahendra Singh Dhoni from international cricket, and to remember his great contribution to this country and to an individual as well, let me quote Dhoni, who emphasized too much on hard work and putting efforts on field which one can apply in UPSC civil service examinations also. And I quote him, I believe in giving more than 100% on the field. I don't really worry about the results. If there is great commitment on the field, that is a victory for me. And I'm sure that our today's guest has applied this same approach of putting 100% with commitment. Mr. Avadh Singhal has made into UPSC Civil Service Examination 2019 list by securing All India rank 62 in his maiden attempt. Congratulations, Avadh, for your fantastic achievement.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also in our panel today, we have our captain, Dr. A.R. Khan sir, and a prominent team member of KSG, Mr. Anshul sir. So without wasting any time, I would like to request Khan sir to come and share his kind words. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ruchi, and thank you, Mr. Avadh. It has been really a pleasure seeing you in this format, getting such a high rank in a country like ours, like 130 crore population. I suppose it's a major feat. I think everybody has a lot of things which is unique to them, and that is what we need to learn from each of the success story. While they have a lot of things in common, so all the listeners who are watching us, I would like to tell you that while we have many success stories, each success story has got certain common threads. And then each one of them are absolutely unique in certain components. So these are the unique components that we are always very keen in learning, because he is the latest version the country's success has got. So I think while the listeners are watching his interview, and Mr. Anshul is taking us through this entire learning exercise, it is also for the KSG who is trying to get the latest version of success, which is how the whole thing is unfolding. And I would rather like you to leave it to them and join all the audience who are listening to update their knowledge as to what need to be tweaked as far as getting the success for the coming years. I suppose we would like to probe deeper from Mr. Avadh, who has been very kind in giving us time. And he is going to give his unique strategy, which is very special to him. As I was just interacting with him, he talks about at all the possible levels, because getting a rank as high as this, it has got to have something which is unique and special. And I think while we are celebrating your success, we also would like to share your wisdom and that the pearls that you have got. They'll be going a long way, improving the knowledge of the listeners as well as the KSG team. Over to you, Ruchi. Thank you, Avadh. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I would like to request Anshul sir to carry on with the proposed agenda of the day. Over to you, Anshul sir.
Well, thank you so much, Ruchi ma'am. And first of all, I want to congratulate Mr. Avadh Singhal. And apart from this, I want to thank Khan sir also for giving me an opportunity to interact with the topper, Mr. Avadh. The agenda is like I'm going to ask a few questions, which is for the students, and few questions are running as many people are live. So they are asking something, and I want to ask those questions on the students' behalf to you. And I'm expecting answers, which will definitely, as Khan sir said, will help these students. So, so my first question is, Mr. Avadh, how is the feeling now? I mean, after getting selection, when the result broke out, how the news broke out to you?
So I was doing some exercise in the morning, and one of my company's WhatsApp group started posting messages of congratulations. And then I realized that I might have gotten, so I went and checked the list and was firstly happy in the moment, but then like extremely relieved that I don't have to prepare for the next round. So now when the dust has settled, I think I'm looking forward to the process ahead, FC and the training. And I'm also interacting with some of the existing IAS officers to understand the various intricacies of the services and what one needs to do.
It's a wonderful feeling getting your name in that coveted list. So, do you
Yeah.
check the list again by sort of finding Control F, or like someone has told you in the WhatsApp group, like, Avadh, you have
So
more?
yeah, so I had gone through this moment in my mind over the past few weeks before the result came in, and I always thought that I'd probably just scroll down the list. But I didn't have to do that because, yeah, as I was telling, some of my colleagues also posted my rank. So I only just checked whether it's actually me or not. So I just took out my iCard and matched my name and roll number against the rank.
Wonderful. Nice to hear. Now, I just want to ask, like you earlier told, Khansa, that you were working with some company, you were working somewhere. So when this decision came in your mind that, hey, I want to now begin with this preparation and all that stuff, when this decision came to your mind that you want to go for civil services?
So this question has been posted to me at multiple forums, even in my interview as well. So I come from a very humble background. So position of IAS, IPS, these are very looked up positions. So this was something in the back of my mind, but after college, I wasn't very sure and had no conviction at all about the examination. So I took up a job in Boston Consulting Group, where I got to work across private and public sectors. And specifically, my interaction and project at Rajasthan School Education Department was instrumental in me taking the where I could firsthand see the life of an IS officer for myself. I could visit, feel, and see the gaps at the grassroots level. And I could also see that I can do all of that work with some decent efficiency. So all this made me think that I should give this a chance, and I was just lucky that I was able to make it in the first attempt. Yeah.
No, I think you're too generous, as Khan sir also said, because first attempt, it is not sheer only mere luck. You must have put hard work, as Ruchi ma'am said, that Dhoni wala episode and all that commitment plus 100% effort. If you're giving, then victory is definitely going to be yours. Now, see, if you have cleared something in the first attempt, that means your planning would have been very strong. So I'm going to focus my thing of this sort of interview on your planning perspective, how you planned your journey so that you cleared or the aced the examination in the maiden strike. So it will be like a sequential mode, like prelims, mains, and interview, how you move forward, and what was your strategy dealing with those things. My first question is, like many aspirants find prelims to be a very difficult nut to crack. What was your strategy in order to ensure clearing the prelims? How you moved your strategy, your plans in order to clear the prelims?
Sure. So let me put things in perspective a bit. I was working till 2018 December in the firm, got promoted, and then decided that now I have some financial stability, professional credibility. Now I can go for the exam, and decided to take a leave of absence for about 6 months initially, and then extended it to 9 months after I cleared my prelims. So before prelims, between prelims and my preparation, I only had 5 months. So I had to like really plan effectively. After discussing it with some of the seniors from college and reading a blog by an ISS officer of 2016 batch, Abhimanyu Gelo, I realized that two things are very important in the exam. Firstly, being very specific to the books that you are going to read. Secondly, having a very clear strategy of revision at the very beginning. And thirdly, simulating the real exam conditions. So I basically, coming to first point, I basically chose the regular books, no separate additional out of the box books. Secondly, for revision strategy, I used to frame questions after a chapter that I would read to summarize the main crisp content of the chapter. And if I'm able to answer the questions that I've listed, that means that I know what is there in the chapter. So that I did for all the subjects, and that helped me immensely during revision process because I could just shorten down the revision a lot. In terms of simulating the real exam condition, I firstly solve previous 20-year questions so that I know what UPSC is asked. As you said that yes, planning played a very important role in the whole process because I had to like really follow a timeline to be able to complete this in 5 months. So as I started, I allocated 3.5 months for reading basic stuff, and there was a day-wise timeline on to what I want to achieve today, and I would like stick to it whatever be the case. I know many people say that you have to like follow like a 10-day balance approach and study for 10 hours and then do other stuff. In my case, I did not have that luxury. So I would just allocate as much time as physically and mentally possible for me for the exam preparation.
Very neatly defined strategy you have just started out, and it worked in your favor, like revisioning an entire chapter. Suppose you're reading precedent, then reading the entire chapter and making the questions whether you are able to do it or not. And then doing the test series, like in KSG also, we have a test series program which is very well oriented towards the need of the UPSC. And every year, I believe 69 to 70 questions definitely touches to it. So I think the one point you mentioned about is like the practicing the question paper, doing mocks, is I think one of the important tenets in clearing the UPSC civil services examination.
Yeah,
Now
I
coming
can't
to
agree
this,
more.
yeah, I think the second part is which is very inevitable to leave actually, the newspaper. I mean, if I have heard many aspirants, some says like I don't read newspaper. I focused only on the monthly compilations of different names. And then some people are religious in reading the newspaper. Some says like you read 3 newspapers, some says you read 2 newspaper. What worked in your favor, that is the newspaper, and how you utilize that energy of newspaper, because it is a reservoir of great energy for UPSC. So how you utilize that newspaper energy for your prelims as well as for your mains.
So yeah, I came across both sort of point of views when I was starting off, and in the first month I also struggled with it because I thought I will read newspaper and then I will make notes. But as I went ahead and given the paucity of time in my case, I realized that the monthly compilations are good enough. But I would still allocate 1 hour of the day daily to the newspaper reading because it helps in perspective building. But for compilation and revision, I would just refer to the monthly magazines that come. That's what I did, and different things work for different people. But given my scenario, I had to just go with the monthly compilation.
Yeah, but you very rightly pointed out that you didn't leave reading the newspaper. Apart from reading the monthly magazine on a regular basis, you always dedicated 1 hour to the newspaper. And to all the viewers who are new to the preparation, I see Avadh himself confess that for the first 1 month, he struggled to get through these newspaper, because many students come to us and say, sir, like the newspaper is a real problem. What to read, what to leave. I think to read the syllabus first and then go through the newspaper will make your work little handy. Now coming to the second, which is the gigantic process of the UPSC 1750 mark, which I call it as a marathon. How you deal with that, Avadh? So much, so vast, they are asking like paper 1, 2, 3, 4. So what was your overall strategy as far as drafting answer is concerned? Because ultimately your 1750 marks is depending on how you write well. So what was your strategy in drafting the answers?
Before I get into drafting the answers, I would just say this, and maybe we can take it forward at a later point of time, that every paper of mails needs to have a different strategy. I club them under GS 1 to 3, essay, ethics, and your optional. Uh, Coming to your question, which is how I drafted answers, for essay answers do not qualify, but for GS papers, my template would be that I would introduce my answer with a relevant content which encompasses all key facts about the answers, about the question asked. Then I will detail those facts or the question asked in the body, and then would conclude by saying something forward looking or summarizing my answer in 1 line or 2 lines. So that's how I did my answer writing. In some papers like GS1, where you might fall short of content, I would fill those spaces with graphics of maps of other geological formations. In paper 3, I would use data and graphs at times wherever available. So that remained my answer writing strategy for GS2.
As you said that you used maps. So in paper one, there are two formats where you can basically use map. And I think you may use maps in the social issues also. If you want to show something which is not happening in India or which was like backward or not forward oriented, you may mention it on a map. But I think how you utilize map in history, any example can you give, like in the geography paper, suppose this question appeared, then I use map, or in history paper,
Yeah,
it's,
sure,
yeah,
sure.
please.
So
Yeah.
we had this question on Gandhara art this time
Yes.
in history paper. So I drew a map of the northwestern fringe of India and showed how the art form was placed. Another example was there was a question on food processing industries in paper 1 or paper 3. I think it was in paper 1. So I used the map of India to indicate where different type of food processing industries are. For example, milk in Gujarat or food grains in Punjab, and then also used seaports to indicate that these are the factors which are benefiting these industries. So that is one way where map can effectively represent a few items.
Yeah, I think it gives the comprehensive dimensions to your answer. Like what you are drafting is one thing, but you're also making the examiner aware. Okay, see, this is the areas which you must also focus upon. Now, coming to the paper two, Avadh, it is a lot of about the constitutional articles, the amendments, the Supreme Court judgments. So, do you utilize these force? Like last year, a question appeared about the Attorney General. So many students with a drop of a hat sometimes may say, oh, this is 76 or 77. Sometimes a confusion crept in their mind. So what was your way of dealing such questions? If were you writing the Supreme Court judgments or the constitutional amendments important and the articles of the Constitution, if the question demands it?
I actually made a list of important Constitution articles in an Excel and wrote key message from that Constitution article. And I usually use those in various questions wherever required, sometimes in the introductory, sometimes in the body, wherever required. But I did that. In terms of Supreme Court judgment, I did not make a separate list, but like the standard ones, such as Keshwan and Bharti and all of these, which you would anyways remember if there is a relevant question, such as there was something on constructive harmonization which related to the federalism. So I quoted that this is like a part of the basic structure as per this Supreme Court judgment. But no specific effort put into laying down various judgments. But yeah, I did put in some effort in Constitution articles because I feel that gives some anchor to your question.
Yeah, I think you mentioned very rightly that at least students should have understanding or basic understanding of those landmark cases, like as you mentioned, Keshwan and Bharti case, which gave the doctrine of basic structure. And there were 2-3 questions, if you see the polity paper like last year, paper 2, about the doctrines, like the doctrine of harmonious construction, which is actually separation of power and all those stuffs. So I think putting those Supreme Court judgments are going to help you immensely in that area. Now, there is also a very dynamic issue, Avadh, which is international relationship in paper 2. So what was your strategy to deal with the international affairs? Have you focused on because there are areas surrounding India, which UPSC is asking every year, and UPSC is maintaining one more discipline very clearly, that it is asking one question from one giant like the China or the USA. And one question it is figuring out related to the neighbors, the relationship with China or Nepal or for that matter, Bangladesh or Pakistan. So what was your strategy dealing with the international relationship questions related to that? How you managed to get through it?
I'll add my prelims international strategy to it as well. So I think international relations is a subject where nothing much moves at a exponential speed, as is the case with other subjects like polity or even economy. So I would again refer to the compilation. I would read about them or maybe listen to some debates on Rajya Sabha TV occasionally, not like frequently. But my strategy was that I would refer to a compilation on international relations for prelims as well as on main. But as I read through those compilations for main, I also developed a general perspective. So because if even if you would see that in this case, this year examination, there was no direct question of what are the issues and solutions for US India, but there was a larger context like US is not able to accommodate India in the larger scheme of things. So definitely understanding issues, solutions, way forward is important, but having a general perspective of where things are moving based on various debates that happen on Rajya Sabha TV would also help. So that was my broad strategy. Now, obviously, the answer writing practice helps in putting it down in a timeline. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Now coming to paper 3, which is about the economic development perspective of India, there are certain issues which are like age-old issues, like land reforms, the zamindari abolition. It has interlinkage. I mean, if you see paper 3, it has various interlinkages. Like you spoke about the food processing industries. It is mentioned in paper 3 also, the food processing industry. But it has interlinkages, like regional imbalances are there. Why Gujarat, Maharashtra and such states are performing well rather than those tribal states of India. So there are certain interlinkages. How you establish interlinkages between different subjects as far as paper 3 is concerned, because you have geographical dimension also included in the economic dimensions.
I think while reading, you will probably read standalone topics only, but when you start your answer writing practice and go through various subjects on a daily basis, as you revise again and again, this starts to happen on its own. I did not do anything separately to establish interlinkages, but as I was writing GS1 paper and then would probably give a test series of GS3 paper, those ideas would obviously flow into this because I have thought about a geographical dimension at one point of time, and while I'm writing a food processing answer in an economics paper, that would just strike naturally. So I think writing papers one after the other would establish interlinkages on its own. But yeah, having that upfront in one's mind that giving broader dimensions would fetch you more marks, would push one to think about such interlinkages. And yes, you are right in saying that we should think about these interlinkages.
Okay. Now coming to the other section, which is very dynamic, I must say, that is the science and technology. You must have heard like there is no standard book or material which generally covers the science and technology. You have to be well versed with the current events which is happening in the field of science and technology, be it nanotechnology, robotics, or well, you know, as India is doing very well in space technology. So what was your take on this? How you applied your knowledge or your analytical ability to cover the area which is very dynamic in nature as far as science and technology is concerned? If I'm saying the entire science and technology, because it is a culmination of almost multiple aspects to do at one
Yeah.
go.
So I think there are just two strands of questions that UPSC is asking. I might be wrong, but this is what I said. One is a strand where they're asking about prominent scientists and their work and their contribution. Second was, as you mentioned, that various technologies and the development happening, such as space technology or robotics or AI. So for scientists, I just picked up a few prominent ones, though that didn't help in the exam finally because they asked about some people who I had not heard about. But yeah, going in, I could only have done so much. So I just picked some of the prominent scientists through online sources and prepared broadly about what they did and what was the achievement. And in terms of the key emerging technologies, yeah, I just shortlisted a few technologies in use like space technology, AI, biotech, nanotechnology, all of these, and developed a general understanding of these through yeah, current affair reading, through monthly compilation, all of that. And wherever possible, I used the material in my answers. And because I have an engineering background, so I did not put in a lot of additional effort that a humanities student might have to put in. So yeah.
There is an added advantage of engineering background to you here, you must say. But
But then the humanities guys have like a whole range of subjects that they already exposed to.
No, you're perfectly right in this, Avadh. And the one thing which which attracted me as well, that you very smartly pointed out by analyzing the previous year question paper. Like I also analyzed this thing that UPSC is asking on the works of special scientists or some scholars which are doing wonderful work, because the country should, the UPSC should want the aspirants to know about those people who are performing very well. Like CNR Rao has done wonderful jobs, Dr. Kalam, and we have many other scientists to name.
Yeah, yeah.
And now one more aspect that is like cyber security, which can be clubbed with the internal security of India. So internal security is a very, I must say it's a very diverse topic, because we have a very porous border with few countries, and then we have the problem of left-wing extremism in India. So how did you manage to make internal security as a guiding force for your answer writing slide?
So I was really excited. This was probably one area where I was generally excited about reading, because this was something that I was never exposed to. I probably went a little overboard with this. I read online sources about the topics that were mentioned in the syllabus, and created a regular summary of thoughts, and then used that in my answers. But yeah, this was just very exciting for me, so I just naturally read a lot about it and use that in my answer. But then UPSC asked strange questions like Cyberdome, which no one probably knew about. So people had to be creative about it while writing.
Yeah, I think that was a bouncer to every aspirant, Cyberdome. Now, coming to paper 4, which is a very wonderful paper, and it has 2 sections, 120 marks. They are asking about the case studies, and 130 marks, and vice versa. Sometimes it changes it also about the conceptual clarities. So there are certain terminologies about the integrity, honesty. There is a very hairline difference between both these definitions. So have you prepared certain notes specifically, or you relied on something external material, or how you managed to do the terminology wala part? Because ultimately what they were asking are very general questions. If you see, the questions are very simpler, but what awards you good marks is the way of writing the answer with wonderful words. I must say the key terminologies, that is I think the requirement of the UPSC. So what was your apparatus in dealing with this ethics part?
So as I did with other subjects, I read about how people go about it. So people suggested this book Lexicon, which I did not find because it felt too mechanical. So I just did the following. I Googled most of the key terminology, understood the meaning of it, and then tried to introspect about the instances in my life or someone else's life where I saw this in practice. So whenever a question would come related to that, so I will generally start by defining that and explaining various aspects of it. And I also used a lot of quotes in ethics paper because it felt like an essay paper to me at some point in time. So I would generally use a lot of quotes in case study or concluding my answer or beginning my answer. Then another important aspect of one tactical thing that I did, which can be followed by aspirants, is that before I would start an exam, I would just write A to Z, and I would write the qualities. Suppose for A, attitude, for L, leadership. So while I'm writing case studies, it's difficult to just come up with those words in the moment. But if you have that list written somewhere, you can just pick and choose the qualities that you want to write in your answer. So that's one tactical thing I did, and I think it might have helped you. Other than that, paper. I think that's other aspect of the ethics paper. But to answer your question, that's how I went about it.
Okay, fine. So what was your optional subject and how you prepared for optional? Because there are around 23, 24 optional, and I think every subject has a different approach. So what was your optional? If some viewers are, this is a question from viewers, the students which are watching, what is the option of sir and how he tackled with that optional?
Again, disclaimers that I think I again got very lucky here. So as I told you, I started in January, had to pick it by February. I thought I'm not good in writing. At that point of time, I did not have any confidence in my writing expression because I had not tried it before. So I thought I'll probably go with a science option because that's like a area of comfort. I did my engineering in electrical power, but the syllabus was very large. So I was left with other science options. Then I came across physics, math. Physics was a subject I was generally interested in. There was good guidance available in form of TIES coaching classes. So I just picked it up. And I think the teaching was such that I was able to complete the whole syllabus after prelims in 2 months. And the process was simple that I would follow whatever he's teaching and make notes and solve previous year questions. And I would solve them as I would write in the exam. So physics is subject where if you solve like previous 20, 25 years questions, you are probably sorted for 60% of the paper. Maybe the questions would change to some extent, but largely you would be able to. So I think that worked in favor of me. I don't think I would have scored like exceptionally well in optional because I did not have much time to practice. But I think I was able to manage it reasonably well just because I just solved past 20-year questions and wrote them in a way I would write in a real exam.
Now, the other portion, which is sometimes very neglected, is the essay portion. Sometimes students do not write. They thought that I must utilize or capitalize my knowledge of paper 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll pen down everything there. So at the end of the day, they lose up, ending very poor marks. They lose very marks in essay. So did you practice essay a lot prior to going into the real war, or it was like you have just, broad mind mapping you did for many topics? So how you managed to go through with this paper of essay?
So I did. I was most worried about my essay paper because that was a subject where I was not scoring well in my test series. I wrote 6 essays in test series, wrote 4 on my own and self-evaluated. I think it is a very important paper because it can make or break your marks. What I did understand after the whole process was that essay does require a fair amount of expression and language, and for that, because I personally did not have a very good flair of writing, I used other people's quotes, examples. Broadly, how I went about it, I'll just briefly share. I would introduce by a quote without doing anything else like writing a story or anything, because I did not feel that I was comfortable with that. I would give a brief context of why this is relevant in the current scenario. Then I would either justify or negate the statement which is given. Write 7, 8 arguments for or against the statement, then justify them by using quotes, examples, real life situations, covering as many dimensions as possible throughout those arguments. Once I've established my case for or against, I would provide solutions and then I would conclude. And this I did for both abstract or the regular education or health like essays. So yeah, that was the approach I followed. I think the marks will tell me whether this worked or not, but yeah, this is what I did.
Yeah, marks will tell us actually what worked in favor or not. Actually, Dr. A.R. Khan sir gave a very wonderful acronym I must name to my students. He gave LEFT, logic, example, fact, and tone. If you compile these 4 elements, then you will be in a very better position. Now, the last aspect, that is the interview. When was your interview and how did you, manage to go through that, sometimes people say it a war room because all those people sitting, but they are generally very cordial and very encouraging as well. So when your interview was scheduled, before COVID pandemic or after that?
No, I had to wait for like 4 months before I could give my interview. It was on 21st of July. I used to joke around with my younger brother, who was like a constant support in the whole process, that I gave the maximum amount of preparation time to the interview. Like after September, there was only interview, and I finally gave it in July, and that's more than any other stage. My experience was good. The board wasn't aggressive; they were cordial only. They covered multiple aspects of my DAP, no current affairs, but then it can vary. There is no hard and fast rule. You have to prepare extensively for your DAP as well as current affairs. Yeah, so they covered my current job, the recent project on school education, Punjab insurgency. Somehow they attached my current firm with auditing. I don't know why, but they asked me a lot about government audit as well. Then there was some HR type of question like why IAS and why not stay in the private sector or something like that. So they covered a lot of ground, and I think somehow I would have somehow I sailed through it. It was a good experience overall.
I think mock interviews work for many aspirants if they go prior to visiting the real board.
Sorry, I missed that. So I think mocks are important at any stage of the exam preparation, and specifically interview, because you have to like really stimulate a discussion. And I came to KSG for one of those interviews, and I think the experience was really fulfilling. In general, I would just say that take the feedback with a pinch of salt, because everyone has different perspectives to interview. Just listen to what people are saying, but don't just take it on face value. You should be able to evaluate what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Overall, it's the confidence and your demeanor in the interview room which matters much more than the answers that you give. So I think losing confidence because someone told you that you are not doing well does not make sense. I know it's hard to do, but yeah.
So I think I am full with the list of questions from students as well. And there are many questions, but they are sort of, you have covered them in totality. There are other questions which can be said as appendices to the broader questions, like what you inculcated in answers and how you prepared for this and that. So it is really wonderful talking to you, Avadh. And my congratulations to you that in future you will be one of the best minds to work for the country. And my best wishes to your future endeavors. Thank you so much. Over to Ruchi, ma'am.
Before Ruchi, I really was enjoying Avadh. Thank you very much for all the beautiful talk that you have given. And we're going to really remember a lot of words that you've said. I don't want to repeat them now, but then it was really, really very enriching. Thank you very much, sir. Over to Ruchi. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Now, at the end, I just want to say one thing to all the aspirants, that no matter how much the world tries to hold you back, always continue with the belief that what you want to achieve is possible. Believing you can become successful is the most important step in actually achieving it. Thank you so much, Avadh, for sparing your precious time. Thank you, Khan sir. Thank you, Anshul sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.